23. Acts chapter 23. And things are still spicy. Let's go. Paul unknowingly insults the head priest. Nobody's ever done that before. Even with an apology, the people want revenge. You don't touch the anointed. Others then plot to kill Paul. A close person of Paul hears this and he jumps into action to help Paul. Paul's message about Jesus wasn't met with the softest of hearts. How many of you have shared the message about what God has done in your life and immediately you're expecting them to be like, that's amazing, and they're like, yeah, no, we're done. Well, this is where Paul was at. The message of Jesus was actually heard with great resistance. Maybe even the hearts had been hardened. The text doesn't say that, but we see that there's a great resistance to the message of Jesus from Paul. Yet rather than Paul throwing a pity party and becoming angry, pulling a Jonah, running out of town, sitting on a hill, sulking under a tree, Paul was aware that this is what was necessary, and he still delivered that message. He knew that God had given him the authority to do so and the message to share. That's an important thing for us to understand, people. We have all kinds of knowledge. We're on the 23rd day, we're going through the book of Acts. But do we have God's authority in the calling to be able to walk through that power so that God can plant the seed, God can do what he wants to do? Or are we acting out of our own power? If we act out of our own power, the hearts will never receive it, and we might actually be the people who throw people into regulation, not the revelation of Jesus. So Paul's long drawn out trial process actually provided him many other opportunities. Think about this for a second, church. Paul is doing what God called him to do. It's not popular. He knows it's going to get him into trouble. He's already imprisoned here. He's on trial. Possibly even in his mind, he's like, this could end up with me in the electric chair. I'm modernizing it a little bit. But he could possibly end up at death. And yet, even through the trials, even through the people he meets in these trials, he uses those moments to still testify of what Jesus has done in his life. He persevered through those trials. That's a huge word for us as a church, people, because we have to understand that we're all going to have trials. In the last 23 days, I know you've had trials. I've had trials. Are we going to push through and say, okay, there was hardened hearts this time, but the Lord has led me to another opportunity to provide and persevere? Even in the most stressful of circumstances, Paul had taken courage. Some of you are in some real stressful situations right now, whether it's yourself in your relationship with the Lord, it's in your family, it's in your church, it's at your job. Are you going to persevere in the calling of the Lord? I pray you are. I'm going to leave you with these meditation moments today. Think of a current circumstance that you might be facing. Is God wanting to use you for some sort of spiritual benefit for his kingdom in that circumstance? And most importantly, is there any hypocrisy in your life that needs to be called out, that God can shine through that you can persevere through those trials? Today's prayer is a prayer for courage. It's Acts chapter 23, verse 11. This world is not easy. This walk is not easy. But we have to take courage. We have to take courage in knowing the fact that God has ordained our steps. He has ordained your calling. And when you're walking in him, even in the midst of some of the most terrible trials, you cannot fail if God is with you. Look for every opportunity you can to be the light of Yeshua to your city, your family, your children, to the church. Blessings, church. I love you.